Hi and Merry Christmas. I'm Antonio Cherry. Today on this fourth appointment of the Hollywood movie title V6 series, we're going to be looking at the animation style Mortal Kombat Legacy 2. We will make this awesome title style using Cinema 4D for the modeling and animation of the logo emblem with the camera shake vibrate tag. Then in After Effects, I will show you an interesting compositing technique for completing the entire animation sequence, together with the fire dust particles and hot haze effect. Very, very hot. So don't miss this and let's jump in. At the end of this tutorial, you can learn how to draw and animate your own title with Cinema 4D and After Effects. The actual example, Mortal Kombat Legacy 2, is just for training purposes and is not to be used in a personal project without permission from the original creators. Okay, let's go to see the start file in Cinema. As we already know, the first step is to get all the vector paths of the logo emblem. Then, with the bevel extrusion and the correct disposition for the logo text part, I have used directly the Motext tool. One Motext for all three words, Mortal Kombat Legacy 2. I will explain in detail after why we use this choice. For the dragon emblem part, I used as a reference the original movie poster logo. This emblem is very simple to find on the internet. Mortal Kombat is a famous historical movie and video game. However, with the 2D draw tool inside Cinema, it is possible to replicate without problems. Or if you prefer, you can import the entire path splines of your emblem from your 2D vector software. On the extrusion panel, we have a small fillet cap with value 1 to radius and 5 on step. The depth value is 20, while the three Motexts have a depth value of 27. The font, as many of you know, is a very modern common linear, perfect for this style. Very important, all three words should be positioned compared to the logo emblem with a different Z value. Also, all parameters we have seen are set to give the illusion of the correct frontal impact view. In this case, the value is about -600. This step is necessary with this difference because during the correct animation sequence of the camera, first we see the emblem and after the logo texts. For completing this step, the fillet values of the Motext are 3 radius and 1 step. In the second step, we proceed with the settings of the camera animation and many more interesting features. First of all, it is important to say that our entire sequence has a duration of 300 frames. The size of the project is 1920 by 800 pixels at 24 frames per second. Obviously, the anti-aliasing must be set on best. In this project, the two elements that make up the logo should be animated in two separate layers groups. This important detail is crucial for the correct insertion of the material. You'll understand why in the next step. So during the animated sequence of the camera on the Z position, we have the illusion that the text is always in the same position, but in reality, it is not. To get this final result requires two interpolations. In the first part, the group text layer while backing down a bit on the y-axis, and in the second part, simultaneously with the movement of the camera, moves in the opposite direction until the end with the rotation of the letters. We choose to use the Motext tool precisely at this point. In fact, with the simple addition of the effect MoGraph Plan, with a few steps, we can do this animation automatically. Here, as it acts the fall-off parameter, I love it. Simple and professional. Throughout the entire sequence, the dragon emblem does not have any animation. I will show you a particular detail. As we can see, the camera seems to have all the parameters of the active position during the animation. As you can see, when we have the passage of the logo on the camera, we have a small shake. This is due to the inclusion of the vibrate tag. You can find it at the bottom of the tag's sub-menu. This fantastic tool, applied to the camera, allows us to have the classic camera shake movement. Very useful. I applied it so that it acts only during the passage of the emblem and after the text. Through the control of the amplitude parameter, we can decide which axis will be applied, the shake, X, Y, or Z. Of course, it must be accompanied by frequency parameter, which in this case has a simple value of 7. I forgot to get the sequence of gradual rotation of the letters. We must set with the plan effector the kind of shape capsule, and also insert 2 interpolations for the controls, size, and fall off. In this way, with only 2 frames, you can choose when you should have the movement. For more details, here is the scheme with all the parameters. Okay, proceed with the final part on cinema. For the insertion of materials, I used the type of material shader that is generated within 4D. With this choice, it's not necessary to use a complex lighting system. In fact, I only added a single omni-point light in the front at the top. This gives the shadows on the displacement texture. As you can see on the emblem and on the text, we applied basically 2 types of shaders lava. The first has an impact of very classic lava material. As you may have guessed from the name, it was applied to the symbol of the dragon. You can analyze automatically how we set various parameters inside. The texture type most widely used is the colorizer. With the inside is applied another texture type, noise. In this case, we have the type Luca, but there are many other very interesting types of textures to try. If you would like more information on creating and managing this shader, I recommend you see the tutorial Wrath of the Titans. In this specific case, I have applied the classic lava shader only on the front part of the dragon, putting on selection the command C1. Then we have a variation of lava much darker, which I only applied on the front bevel with the command line R1. As for the depth of the body emblem, I chose this different type of lava material in order to have many points of incandescence. This lava shader, unlike the first, has applied textures generated internally by multi-layer of noises superimposed. This method allows us to use the various layers, such as layers in Photoshop. Only with continued experimentation and study will you get professional results. Another very interesting detail is the application of the displacement map. In fact, if we want a classic effect of surfaces deformation such as lava stones, this application is irreplaceable. To complete the presentation of the materials on the next text layer has been applied a variation with the addition of fractal to simulate the incandescent yellow halos. Finally, this last material is a duplicate, where I converted all colors to grayscale in order to have the alpha channel of the yellow cracks during the composite job. View the result. Very cool. Incredible. We can say that the lava shaders have already done more than half of the work. We admire the work of the displacement map effect on the logo, with all in the foreground. In this tutorial, I will show you a little trick to overcome the limit of the scale factor on the type texture shader. We apply the lava shader on a simple cube. Let's see the result. Okay, if I want to have the impact of the shader lava smaller, normally we try to change the values of the length U and V. But as you can see, nothing has changed. But if we apply the material on a null object, we change the scale value to 50%. Finally, you drag inside the cube. We make a new render, as if by magic. Now we have the correct scale. Okay, duplicate the whole object. Let's try another scale value. This is not correct. If you want to modify the scale value of the texture, you must first put out the cube. After entering the new values, and finally put back the cube inside. In this way, you are only virtually changing the scale of the texture on the null object, but the cube has the same size. One last detail for animation. Do not animate directly the cube object. If not, the texture moves. But you must animate the group null layer to be correct. With this simple procedure, I applied two different scale values in the text and the dragon emblem, 0.33 for the text and 2 for the emblem. That's said for the composite process on After Effects. We need to have all the separate rendered elements with the alpha channel active. These are the separate videos made: the emblem, the text, and finally the alpha channel of the incandescent cracks on the text. In the project folder, there is also a video of real smoke that will be useful for the work composite inside After Effects. Okay, open and analyze the project. As we can see, the structure of the project is very linear, but I assure you is rich in details. I'll show you how we can change or modify the result of the lava impact of the entire project. Let's start with the base of the background. On a solid layer, I applied a fill color with these values. With an animated interpolation sequence on the opacity parameter, we can emphasize some important elements in the above layer during the sequence. Such as the global glow of the emblem, and the video of real smoke. As I just said, with the right mix of effects, we can improve or add other interesting details. In this case, the dragon emblem with the fabulous effect change to color. You can enhance the effect of orange lava on the surface where there is this red base. These are the values chosen by me to have these interesting cracks. Awesome! With low values of exposure and gamma, we give the right impact deep black around the lava. With hue and saturation, we can desaturate a little the presence of the color. To restore a bit of dark gray to the rough lava rock, we can set the filter brightness and contrast. Finally, with the filter glow, we add the classic hot halo glow. To obtain this result, it is important to have the parameter of the radius and intensity with the values 200 and 2. To get the same style of revelation of the very blurred emblem, both input and output, I added an adjustment layer above it with the camera lens blur effect. Starts from the frame 0 with the value 17 and arrives to the frame 80 with the value of 1. The output part starts from frame 198 to close at frame 265 with a high value of 33. At the same time, the exposure effect on the emblem layer darkens up close to 0 with the closure interpolation of opacity. Very important, if you want the same effect as the blurred revelation of the original video, it should be set to the type of shape decagon. But you can also choose other style shapes. To improve the impact of the sequence, we can add a real video of smoke or a particle system if you prefer. Let's see how we can give on it a very dark brown shade. To transform the original real smoke video, I added the linear color key filter and I have removed the black base. With the tritone effect, I applied the correct color brown tone for our project. And finally, with the curves filter, I slightly decreased the global alpha presence. This layer is in add mode. Perfect. Using the same technique and mix of the effects of the emblem of the dragon, I have improved and modified the lava impact of the text logo. The only difference is that the change to color filter was applied 2 times. The first regulates the intensity and the change of color of the yellow glows, while the second changed from brown to dark red the body color of the letters. Also, I inserted the camera lens blur to get the same blurred revelation of the emblem in the first part, but at the end it starts after to the total fading of the dragon. To have a better impact of the yellow cracks on the text layer on a duplicate, which later I converted into a new pre-comp, I applied a track matte layer with the video of the alpha channel of the incandescent cracks. With a simple choke filter, I monitored the presence of the cracks at the beginning when the text is in the foreground and it is big, and then at the end when moving away it is getting smaller. The matte choke parameter starts from the frame 121 with a value of 70 and ends to the frame 201 with a value of 25. To improve the color closure of the logo text, I added an adjustment layer to get this wonderful effect orange-red at the end along with the lens blur. Beautiful. Perfect for this style. The effects are always the same: glow, change to color, and exposure. Obviously, in this style, they could not miss the fire particles that pass through our logo, from top left to bottom right. This is the particle system of the tutorial, Legend of the Guardians. If you remember, I used the old good CC Particle World 2. Of course, the orientation of the particles needs to be changed as a birth-death color with yellow and orange. The first default glow gives the correct presence of the color, while the second glow with 23 in the threshold value adds the perfect halos light. Very cool. To complete the project, I added a vignette layer of black smoke with a very nuanced oval mask. This will focus the attention throughout the entire sequence on the central part of our scene. Okay, for all those who still have doubts, and for all those who need more details, here, the scheme of animation parameters with all settings. Good vision. Okay, insert the audio file and proceed with the final rendering. For the audio track, I used the soundtrack from the Cinematic Background compilation. The author is Aber187, and the audio track is called End of the World. You can find it on Audio Jungle, a very incredible sound style. I forgot, if you want to have also the effect of hot haze in the first half during the passage of the emblem and logo text, you can use the same technique of the tutorial Real Steel. I mean, insert in a new pre-composition the project with the filter displacement map. And above the other pre-comp with a fractal noise type strings like this. For the presence of the hot haze effect, as with the original video, must be present until the frame 76, and it starts to dissolve with a value of 5 to arrive to the frame 150 with a value 0.5. In this way, the result is guaranteed. This is the result of our project. Very, very cool. Okay, I will remind you the fifth appointment for the new tutorial of the Hollywood Movies Titles V6 series, Riddick. Awesome color style and lens flares. Stay tuned. I hope this tutorial has been to your liking. By Antonio Cherry. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.